Okay, so I thought I'd record another video. This time, maybe talking about relationships. Not too sure what part of relationships to talk about. But from all my conversations, people have said I have pretty interesting ideas. It's probably somewhat related to all that red pill stuff, but it probably precedes that by a bit, at least the online YouTube community that has been around for a while, but it's very popular now. I've always thought pretty similar to the way that I do now, pretty much all of my life, from the time that I was, I don't know, maybe 10 years, probably like 10 years old, like fifth grade, middle school. I've thought basically the same way. Now, some people might say that would make me a bit childish, but I think most people, when they hear me talk, or when they heard me talk at that age, they would probably say that I was much wiser than, someone my age or that age should be or would be. But I've always found it very interesting, the female and male dynamic, mostly because I don't know, I always found it very interesting, the choices that were made when you're young, for both men and women, but particularly for women, because particularly for women, they make extremely bad choices when they're younger. The bad choices in men, and I'm sure there are many reasons for that, and a lot of it really, honestly, it makes sense. It makes sense why throughout history it's been that way. Doesn't make as much sense now, but you can see it. But what I find interesting, especially now when you then grow older into your 20s or early 30s, I'm my late 20s right now, and when you're in your late 20s, you start seeing the change in the relationship with women. Whereas me, when I was younger, say in high school or college, things were fine, but it definitely wasn't like, oh my God, there are like so many women everywhere. It was just pretty average, nothing special. But as I get older, things start to change. And this is in America, things start to change. And it's funny that this is now when I'm thinking of leaving America, going to South America, to live for a while, maybe forever, I don't know, but at least for the next year or two. We'll see what happens after that. But it's funny how, like, as I get closer to 30, or as I approach 30, there's more interest now than there ever was at any point in my life. And the thing is, like, I always knew that this is going to be a thing, like back from when I was like 16, 18, 20, because I saw that when I was that age, all the girls were going for guys that were like in their late 20s, early 30s, which is fine. But it's also interesting because the girls that are now 30 years old, they'll like make fun of you or look down on you for going for girls that are like 22, which is weird because like they were that girl, like not too long ago. So it's just very weird. And it always goes to, girls, especially in America, in New York especially, they always start to say that you're like a predator or something like that. Like if you go, meanwhile, the girls liking the older guys is not a problem in any way, shape, or form, which is like super weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's been very interesting that change. Because yes, I have more money than before, but I was definitely in more shape when I was younger. I should definitely start working out, and probably in my time in South America, I'll probably take some time off from work and not work at all, and probably spend some time on my own personal health, whether that's mental health, physical health, everything. But yeah, so I guess now we started talking about South America. The change between America and South America. My first time in South America was almost 2 years ago now, it's not even close. Like when I went to South America for a vacation, the first time was Peru, but I've been to Argentina, I've been to Colombia, I've been to Brazil, Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Chile, many countries in South and Central America. But the change is so drastic in like the amount of interest. Like, I would say as a pretty average guy in America, in New York, I did make more money than average in New York, but you know, people say that matters, but I didn't see that it mattered that much. Say you're on one of the apps, say you're on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or something like that. The amount of matches that you'll get, say like per month. With me, maybe on a good month you'll get 2, and I know some people might laugh at that, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty normal for the vast majority of guys. If you're not like some like ultra, you know, guy that, you know, that has never had any problems in his life whatsoever. But the simple fact is that the vast majority of men do not get things done that easily, especially online when it's just photos and text. You know, it's much better in real life, but online, for me in America, I would say it's largely been a waste of time. Not largely, it has been a complete waste of time. Any online app for me personally, and for the people that I know. But I did know that the first time I went down there, and this was before this whole, or at least before it was famous, I'm sure it was a thing, but before the whole Passport Bros movement thing, before it became like huge, or like everyone's talking about it, like in the last year, everyone's been talking about it. The change was so drastic, just going from a couple per month at best to 20 per week. Like, you know, it was so different. Like, I had never been on so many dates like in my life. Like, just from my first time in Peru, I was in Peru for 1 week, for 5 days, then it got extended to 8 days because my flight got canceled. But it was the absolute best time that I've had, just meeting random people, and I didn't speak any Spanish. Now my Spanish is much better. Now I could probably hold a conversation. I could get around, go through, you know, customs like without speaking English. Like, it's probably fine. But at that time, I didn't even speak any English. I didn't even speak any Spanish, and it was totally fine. Like, yes, it was awkward at times, but you know, largely there were no issues, and there was much more interest. And that's the biggest thing. Once you have interest, you have more options, and once you have more options, you can, you know, choose whatever you want, whether that's, you know, something that other people think you should want, or whatever you actually want for yourself. So yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now, but yeah, I would say that's probably like the main point of this video. Like, this is one way that things have been very different in another country. Relationship with women, or just relationships in general. But I'm sure that when I move there, there's going to be a lot more. Like, I know that there's going to be differences. Well, of course, it's going to be much cheaper. But I also feel that I'm going to have to make my own business down there. And I'm probably going to have more drive to create a business and thrive with business down there than I would in America, which is very interesting. I'm sure I'll talk about that in a different video. Also, there is a difference in women in terms of the amount of jealousy. I would say there's much more jealousy down in South America than there is up here. It's on like a completely different level. Like, one time I was in Argentina. No, I was in Colombia with my girlfriend, and there was like an argument about like me talking to like a guide. The guide was a woman, but I was just having a conversation about, oh yeah, I'm from New York, like, where are you from, where'd you learn English, like, how long have you been tour guide? What's the most interesting thing about this place? Normal stuff, nothing special, but that was a problem. There's also a big difference in, I guess, family values. It's much more common to have your family around all the time, which for me is very exhausting. I'm not too sure if I'll ever get used to that. Like with me, I see my parents once every week. You know, I go to the house on the weekends. They don't really come over to my house, and it's totally fine. Over there, it's much more like, you know, a couple of times a week, and they'll stay for hours at a time. You know, and sometimes somebody will stay over, and it's just I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll ever get used to that. Which is another topic that I'll probably touch on, is that being a guy, and even though I'm moving to a different country and they have different culture, different values, is that being a guy, if I have an apartment or I have a house, like, it's still my house, you know? So I don't have to like 100% conform to like whatever the societal family values are, because I'm not a part of their house or their home, or let's say my girlfriend or wife or whatever, in the future. I'm not a part of their family. They're a part of my family. So I don't think that I really have to like completely fold into whatever the other culture is, because the dominant culture in the house should still be that of the father, which I'm sure some people are cringing at as soon as I say that, but I don't know, that's the way I think, and that's the way things tend to work best, because typically when the woman is like running the house, it doesn't end well usually. So yeah, I don't know, that's probably a good place to end this, but yeah, women and men relationships can be pretty interesting. So cool.